Yo, 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 what is up? What is up? What is up? Welcome back to Avry Sports Show. And we got a very special guest on. If you follow my show, you know I've been following the what's happened with the Cleveland Indians and the baseball team, the name in regards to changing their name. They've announced that they will change the name, but not until 2022. One of the names that came up as a replacement name for a very long time has been the Cleveland Spiders. And I want to know, personally, who owns that name? Has it been abandoned? Does someone own it? I did my Googles, did my research, and I found someone did apply for the trademark and currently controls the name. That person lives in Vancouver, Washington, by the name of Arlen Love. Arlen Love joins me right now on Avry Sports Show. Sir, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course. I can see in the background here. I'm just seeing you in the Cleveland Barons jersey. I see Browns gear in the background. Like, you are a massive Cleveland sports guy, clearly.
Yeah, you don't become one. You're born into it.
So I guess I got to ask you, I guess first things first, like, why did you want to buy the Cleveland Spiders name? And really, how did you realize that, oh, the name is available, I should apply for the trademark or get the rights somehow?
I mean, the talk was already out there, just the possibility of name changes in general. I had looked up one of my favorites that I just always thought was cool, because in Cleveland history, having something with the Cleveland Spiders originally, it's not a name that's commonly used in sports, so I figured let's be different and get it. When I saw it was not available, and I was looking just to see if the Indians already owned it and would possibly move that way, I figured either way there should be some gear out there, so I took it.
And of course, you mentioned in DMs we have the Teespring store with gear and more gear coming. So I gotta ask, Cleveland or the MLB comes to you with their price, or maybe you have a price in your mind with some negotiations, and they come and say, we would like to have the name Cleveland Spiders. Are you letting them have it for a rebrand in 2022?
I mean, first and foremost, I think that the Indians should change it to Spiders. It was my favorite long before I had anything to do with it. So either way, I think that goes above a Teespring shop.
So I gotta ask you, how does a Cleveland guy end up in Vancouver, Washington? I'll also add a fun note about you. I know you host a fantasy football podcast called It's Just Fantasy as well.
Yeah. I run a podcast called It's Just Fantasy with a few friends of mine. They're all in Cleveland as well. Like I said in the beginning, you don't become a Cleveland sports fan. You're born one. And I was born in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. And I moved out to the West Coast about 10 years ago. And it was mostly weather related, but my love for Cleveland never changed. I lived in Oakland during the whole run with the Warriors and Cavs, and I never took off my jersey.
With your Cleveland sports fandom, I think it would be safe to say, for me, that you're a big LeBron guy. I'm sure you were over the moon when the Cavaliers finally won the NBA championship in 2016. Seeing the 3-1 comeback just warmed your heart, didn't it?
It was legendary. It was the way that Cleveland was supposed to win.
That's awesome. And going back to the name here for a minute, I know being a hometown Cleveland guy, you mentioned that you want them to always go to Spiders. Just what does it mean, I guess, to see growing up in Cleveland and seeing how the team was so insistent on keeping it through the years? Because this year alone, we looked at teams who changed their name, be it the Washington football team. In the CFL, Edmonton dropped their name Eskimos, are now just Edmonton football team. And what's it been like just to see Cleveland still hang on to that name for one more year when really other teams in sports have said, we can't no longer use it. We're dropping this name right now. We'll figure it out what the name will be. The new name will be later on.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I had another conversation with somebody who had written up an article, and he had asked me the same question, and it took me back to Hessler Street. Hessler Street Fair is a site of a lot of activism in Cleveland Heights in Cleveland. And I remember being a child next to my father, and he was wearing a Chief Wahoo logo with an X through it. And I said, why do you wear that? And he said, well, everybody's wearing these here because we're protesting having the name as the Indians. It's just not right. At the time, I was a kid, and I said, no, the Indians it's the name. You got to keep it. But as you grow up and you become an adult, you realize some things. And the owners of this team finally became adults about it, in my opinion. And you realize that there should never be a team named after a race. And especially if that name is either derogatory or not even the actual name of the people, of Native Americans. And I think it's about time that we change it and we grow up. And I mean, our history doesn't have to die, but man, if I was the same person I was in my early 20s and my teens and I never grew, then I wouldn't have a lot of friends.
Exact thing is, I'm seeing the talk of a name change, and a name change doesn't take away the legends, no matter what name they have. Names like Larry Doby, Bob Lemon, CC Sabathia are always going to be a part of the history, and it comes across to me where some people are acting as if you lose your name, you lose your franchise, which couldn't be further from the truth in any sport.
I think Cleveland, of all places, should know this because not only a name change, we lost an entire franchise, and we still didn't lose the franchise. So the Browns leaving and coming back in '99, we should know that it is not anything based on the owner, organization, management, or even in this case the team name. It's about the fans, and I think the fans of Cleveland sports are strong enough to move past this, and they've been wanting it more than the ownership for years now.
Exactly. And even still, we know sports is a business. To me, my mentality is if you go to a fresh name, you got fresh merchandise, you got fresh advertising, and teams love to, especially in baseball, teams love to bring out a new jersey for any day of the week. Teams can rock 7 or 8 jerseys per year. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to be and find a way to release with a new name, 7 new jerseys for the new franchise name.
Yeah, I mean, the change itself will sell. And you can see it within their own attire over the last few years, them slowly dropping the Indians' name from either the ballpark or their uniforms. They've known for a while it's time to change.
Exactly. And it's odd because when I first heard that they were going to drop Chief Wahoo, I personally thought back then, okay, a name change is coming within a year and a half. Because you saw with the Washington football team, how Washington football, they made their instant change. After the team dropped Chief Wahoo before the 2019 season, I figured shortly after the name would be changed. I didn't think that here we'd be talking about the team still using the name into 2021. I figured a name change would be coming quite promptly.
Yeah, and I think when they originally changed the Chief Wahoo logo years and years ago to the one that we most recently used, they did it to seem less racist, yet they literally made his skin red.
Right.
They can't win trying to change the image of Chief Wahoo or the Indians, or you have to change the name. It's time to let it go.
Exactly. And I heard Paul Dolan had mentioned that the team had discussed the idea of going from Cleveland Indians to Cleveland Tribe, which is just as bad. I don't think it's any better to go into Tribe. He said, I don't see how that's any improvement.
I don't think there's much. I think it's a little bit, but it's the same thing as tweaking it a little. You just got to change it. They even brought up, and I know this is about an old player, but one of the team names that they actually own a trademark for, and one of the top contenders is Naps. And they're going to get into a whole new level of hate with that one, and they're going to have to move on from that soon. So my personal favorites is Spiders, Guardians, maybe the Rockers, but Spiders and Guardians are my top 2 favorites.
Have you thought about tracking down who controls those names? Because if you could find a way to get those or apply for them, I'm sure you could make quite a bit of money along with the Spiders.
Well, one, I'm sure they're taking it. I'm sure I could have at the moment, but I'm not a trademark squatter. It's not something I do. I've never bought a trademark before this. I'm a Cleveland guy, and I just love that. So I was hoping, kind of willing it into existence. But man, the Guardians, one of the tattoos I've always wanted is that truck bridge, the statue holding the truck. Every time I passed it, as a boy, I used to always call it can we go over the truck bridge to the West Side Market? And I absolutely love either of those choices. I think they should do something that connects us back to Cleveland. The original name of the Spiders, though, is the Blues, and that's another one. And man, please, if you're listening, Indians, do not change a Cleveland sports team to a Cleveland Blues. We're sad enough already.
Oh my gosh. Since it's been known that you've had the name, have any other platforms approached you about doing interviews? And am I the first one from outside America to ask you to come on to a podcast?
Yeah, so I have had some people. I think internationally you'd be the first.
Okay.
I've had quite a few people reach out to me throughout the first 2 months that I had registered and owned it, and then in the last, obviously, since the news broke that they said they're going to change it, I've had a lot of people reaching out to me. And one unkind gentleman write an article that didn't even reach out to me and says, "Does Love even have any love for Cleveland?" And that just broke my heart. Of course I do.
Wow. I don't understand. Like, what's the issue with that? Like, I don't understand what the hostility would be for that. You want progress. I don't see what the problem is with that. That's really weird.
And he's got his assumptions on squatting. But I thought it was pretty funny. It was a good job.
That is so weird. That is so odd. And say it happens where, yes, they do use the spider's name, you do let them have it. What color scheme would you want them to use with the spiders? Would you want to see them maintain navy blue and red, or would you want to see a whole new scheme be picked out for the future in 2022?
Oof, man, that is a tough question. I think that you would break Cleveland if you didn't keep at least the color scheme together. I severely doubt they would change the color scheme. The original color scheme was white, black, and gray, and they could go back to that. I think that would be cool, but I've seen some really cool mock-ups with our current colors, and I would choose to keep them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess last question for you here, Arlen. If the name does change to what you want as a final gesture, how cool would it be, say, if in 2022 the Spiders let you throw out the first pitch at a ball game?
If they went for that might be part of the negotiation. Then again, I don't know. The throws are usually pretty off, and I'm not the best pitcher, so maybe I'll keep the embarrassment aside.
That's awesome. Arlen, God, thank you for doing the show. I appreciate this. And if it does happen, if there's a transition to Spiders, like, hey, please come back onto the podcast and discuss this again, because I had a blast talking to you about the game, because it's so unique what you have right now in baseball.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'm just along for the ride, and I'm looking like every other fan, just waiting to see what our new team name is. So I'm pretty excited about the whole process.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Arlen.
Of course, Avry. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.